Hey everybody, welcome to another comic book review. In this video, I'll be talking about one of my all-time favorite superhero comics, DC The New Frontier by Darwyn Cooke. This book takes place in the 1950s, and the stage is set, it starts off in the Pacific, and it's on this remote island, and the story starts off with a group of soldiers from old DC Comics history called the Losers. And so the story starts off with them, and then it jumps to Hal Jordan's perspective, and then it goes from there to Martian Manhunter, and then you get stuff with Superman and Wonder Woman, and stuff with Batman, and stuff with The Flash, and all of these widely recognized DC superheroes set against the backdrop of the 50s. And it's this gigantic story that deals individually with each character. And then by the end, it bridges all of those little stories to create something massive and wildly satisfying at the conclusion of this book. Where everybody has to team up against this otherworldly threat, and you get the since it's set against the backdrop of the 1950s of America, you get all the political issues that were going on at the time, and kind of people's mindsets and people's ideologies at that time period are very heavily reflected in this story, and just the way that characters think, from the heroes themselves to bystanders and just regular civilians that are kind of watching all of this go down. This story is absolutely brilliant. I have said before for years that Darwyn Cooke was a true master of his craft. This is easily my favorite Darwyn Cooke story of all time. I think it's a masterpiece. It's one of my favorite superhero comics ever. I think the way that it deals with 50s culture and kind of paying homage to the Silver Age of DC superheroes, I think it's brilliant. And the way that it touches on very familiar characters such as Green Lantern or Superman or Batman, it does that at the same time that it's also dealing with very obscure characters that not a whole lot of people know about, and it does it in a way that's incredibly accessible, and you don't have to have a whole lot of knowledge of the DC universe in order to love this book. I think the best thing about this book is the fact that it creates such a massive story. I mean, this book is huge. It's very, very big. And you get this massive story with all these different characters, some of which are very unfamiliar to a lot of readers that didn't grow up with early DC comics. And yet it makes it accessible in a way that it's like you're reading this massive story, but you get time with everybody. No matter how small the character is, you get a significant amount of time with everybody, so that by the time the story wraps up, you feel like you know every single character in this book. And even the ones that you were familiar with before, you gain a deeper perspective as to what's going through their mind and the things that they're dealing with, and how they adapt to this situation with this otherworldly threat, as well as the war just freshly being over. And it's brilliant. The art style, Darwyn Cooke's art, is just gorgeous. It reminds me a lot of Tim Sale's art, the late Tim Sale. And just the way that it looks very classic and old-fashioned, but also new and modern at the same time. Darwyn Cooke, I mean, it's sad, because I think of how great of a talent Darwyn Cooke was, and the fact that he's no longer alive is absolutely tragic because um, this is a guy that I would have loved to see more comics from in the future, because I think he was an absolute genius. Um, his writing is incredible. The way he's able to devote equal amounts of time to all these different characters and make them all um, people that you root for. Um, and the way he's able to kind of encapsulate like the time period with um, the phrases that are used in the dialogue, and then his art as well. Just the locations and the landscapes and everything that he's drawing is beautiful. Dave Stewart does the coloring work on this book, and without Dave Stewart on this book, I mean, I'm sure it would still be incredible because it's Darwyn Cooke, but like, you get shots like this, right? His work with shadows is unbelievable. Dave Stewart is one of the greatest colorists of all time in comics. Um, the way he's able to create shadows and work with light and different shades of colors, and he just makes it feel real. He makes every situation feel so vivid, and he enhances Darwyn Cooke's already beautiful art um, with the colors that he adds, and he just gives it an extra level of richness that I absolutely love. I think the coloring in this book is gorgeous. Um, Now, the other thing that I really, really love about this book is the fact that it was so meticulously researched, and you could tell that it was like a labor of love on the part of Darwyn Cooke. This feels like a passion project of his. This feels like um, kind of like a project that is the product of years of work. I'm not sure how long it took him to do this book, but it feels like the type of project that countless hours were spent on, and the result of all that hard work gave us one of the greatest superhero comics, I think, of all time. Um, I think this book is incredible. Another thing that I love about the New Frontier is the panel layout. It does a lot of like the 3-panel pages where you have like one at the top, one in the middle, and one at the bottom. And it does that a lot throughout the book. And it makes it gives kind of like a familiar format, but like the kinds of things that he's able to accomplish just in one panel alone. Like, I'm not even talking just a page. Like, some of the information that he's able to cram into just one panel, using this approach of like the 3 panels per page, for a lot of this book, it's genius. The fact that he's able to do so much with so little, and he sticks with a simple approach with his panel layout, but he's able to use that approach to great effect. Darwyn Cooke was a genius. This is an incredible, incredible book. I highly, highly recommend reading this book if you haven't already. It reminds me a lot of a more hopeful version of Watchmen. Um, and as much as I love Watchmen, like I think Watchmen is another one of the greatest comics of all time. But this one kind of similar to Watchmen explores like the political landscape of the time period, although Watchmen was the 80s and this was set in the 50s. But this kind of feels like a more hopeful version of Watchmen, in that you have a bunch of different characters set against the political backdrop of a very influential time period in American history. And you have all these different characters coming together, and you get each individual viewpoint. And it's awesome. It's so, so, so cool. And it perfectly combines like the realism with some of the more fantastical elements as well. I think this book is awesome. Definitely recommend if you haven't read it. Those are my thoughts on DC The New Frontier by Darwyn Cooke. Um, as always, thank you so much for watching, and look forward to more videos in the future. Have a great day.